Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie giving a shout out to
Something else.
something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matara, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Aria.
And welcome to episode number 085 of Something Else. Feast your hair holes on this week's episode as we take a look at both Mid-South Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling from March 19th, 1983. My name is Aria, and welcome to the show. Alrighty here. So we got some big wrestling here this week. We are on the road to the North American title tournament here in Mid-South. We are just cooking with gasoline and world class. And honestly, there's not a whole lot else to talk about. Real life is boring, at least on my end of the world. I work, I podcast. I work, I podcast. I watch some wrestling. I work, and I podcast. So, yeah, let's just dive right in right now. Let's go to Mid-South Wrestling first from March 19th, 1983. We're going to go to the intro with Boyd Pierce and the popular Bill Watts.
This week's edition of Mid-South Wrestling Television Network. I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, and we look forward to asking you to join us for 60 minutes of excitement. You'll see a great card headlined by a wild battle between rugged Matt Bourne and the Junkyard Dog. Also, the Black Ninja, Kendo Nagasaki, is here. It'll be Kamala, the Ugandan warrior, in action. A tag team match that really promises to be a wild battle as Hacksaw Jim Dugan, the Louisiana heavyweight champion, takes on as his partner, the Super Destroyer. To tell us about it, one of the most knowledgeable men in wrestling, the popular Cowboy Bill Watts.
Well, thank you, Boyd. It's great to be here again, and I think we got some great matches on this card. But first, reflecting back to February 9th, when a collision between two awesome tag teams, DiBiase and Bourne, the Mid-South Tag Champions, seemingly unbeatable, against 7'4", 485-pound Andre the Giant and Mr. USA Tony Atlas. It looked like DiBiase and Bourne, their backs were to the wall. However, in that match, Hacksaw Dugan, the Rat Packer, the man who was also in the gorilla suit that originated the titles to DiBiase and Bourne and the leaving for the 90-day vacation of the Junkyard Dog, that man also came into the action. But then the surprise, the real joker in the deck, Kamala with Akbar, and Kamala attacked Andre the Giant viciously from behind, and Andre the Giant has sent word that he is going to meet that man. He wants Grizzly Smith to get that match anytime, any place, anywhere. Let's look at the closing moments of that match.
Okay, so today we're going to have Matt Bourne one-on-one with the Junkyard Dog. Plus, we're going to have Kendo Nagasaki in action, Kamala is in action, and a tag team match, a bizarre tag team of sorts, as Hacksaw Jim Duggan will team with the Super Destroyer later on today. Now, of course, we can't move forward in time before we move back in time, and we're going to go back in time to February 9th, when we had the tag team match where Matt Bourne and Ted DiBiase defended the Mid-South Tag Team titles against Andre the Giant and Tony Atlas. This was the match where Kamala ran in and attacked Andre with a 2x4. He slammed Andre to the ground. He left Andre beaten and bloodied. And, you know, this was a big angle. And it leads to Andre and Kamala having a feud all around the country based off this angle that taped here on Mid-South Television. They show us the final 3 minutes of the tag team match with the Kamala beatdown. And then we're going to go back to Bill Watts, who is going to recap it. And then he's going to break some big news here. And it's almost an afterthought, but they do tell us more after a commercial break.
I don't know if Kamala injured Andre as much as he made him mad. And when I mean mad, that's a 7'4", 485-pound giant that's mad. It's an awesome anger. It's an anger that engulfs you. We'll hear more about that later. Also, Skandar Akbar received a heavy fine from Charlie Lay, the head of the board of directors of Mid-South Wrestling. But Akbar's attorneys forced a gag rule on Mid-South where they could not reveal the amount of that fine. Now, how he did that, I don't know. Again, it seemed like DiBiase and Bourne were unbeatable. But there are new Mid-South Tag Team Champions, Mr. Wrestling 2 and Tiger Conway Jr., and we'll meet them right after these words from the Mid-South Television Network.
So we have new tag team champions. Mr. Wrestling 2 and Tiger Conway Jr., fresh off of a non-title victory last week, have gone on and have won the championships. They've beaten Ted DiBiase and Matt Bourne. They are the Mid-South Tag Team Champions. And we're going to find out more, like Bill said, after the commercial break. In addition to that, General Skandar Akbar has some weird-ass lawyers. I must tell you that, because these lawyers aren't very good at a whole lot of things, but they are good at doing things like getting, Kabuki out of Japan, and in this case, issuing a gag order so we don't know how much Kamala was fined for attacking Andre the Giant with a 2x4. Now, this does leave your imagination to run wild, especially in 1983, where you actually believed these things. Because if they just said, oh, Kamala was fined $500, it's like, in theory, if you're going to do a fine, that would actually be a logical amount to fine somebody. It was $500 back in 1983. However, if you went on TV and said Kamala was fined $500, that just sounds like a slap on the wrist. However, if you went on TV and said, okay, we fined Kamala $50,000, well, anybody probably with half a brain could figure out that that's bullshit. That $50,000 is not a reasonable amount of money. And, even if you think all these people are millionaires and, they did a decent enough job of making you think so, it's still an absurd amount to find somebody, even if you're making six figures. So saying we have a gag order, it lets your imagination run wild, and it leads you to not having to expose that wrestling fines are bullshit. So we come back from a commercial, and we are joined by our new Mid-South Tag Team Champions, Mr. Wrestling 2 and Tiger Conway Jr.
Well, after February the 9th, when DiBiase and Bourne, with the help of Hacksaw Dugan, the Rat Packer, and Kamala and Akbar, held on to the Mid-South Tag titles against Andre the Giant and Mr. USA Tony Atlas, they probably thought they were unbeatable, a very formidable team. But on March the 11th in Houston, Texas, at the Sam Houston Coliseum, a new team, a dynamic duo, Mr. Wrestling 2 and Tiger Conway Jr. had something to say about that. As you see, they're holding the Mid-South Tag Team titles. They are the new Mid-South Tag Team Champions. I want to offer my congratulations to both of you.
Thank you very much, Bill. It's a simple combination of perhaps a couple of things. First of all, they underestimated us. That they should have done. We proved a point to them another way that they can be beat. I have yet to meet anyone that can't be beat one way or the other. And this is the proof of the pudding. Here's the belts, and here are the new champions.
Well, Tiger, I know it had to thrill you, being that's your hometown. Your father was there, and of course, you've had some rough luck in Houston, and all of a sudden the chemistry's right. You're with a tremendous partner, and you guys pulled it out.
That's right. I'd say it's the greatest day of my life, and also to be with Wrestling 2 as a partner, a legend, and to pull something out over the Rat Pack, that was something I will never forget, and I guarantee you Wrestling 2 will stay champions a long time. Long as I have you behind me, I'll stick with you all the way.
Well, that fall was a grinding, grueling match, some 20 minutes in length, We're going to join the last closing moments, and you all will see and relive once again this tremendous team and their victory to win the Mid-South Tag titles. And Mr. Wrestling 2, would you narrate as we follow along, because you're the one in the ring at this time.
Okay, so before we go to Mr. Wrestling 2 to narrate what's going on, March 11th in Houston. So yeah, they are doing their best here to hype up Houston to get it over, because I don't think they actually bought Houston. I think it's just they're working in cooperation with each other at this moment. But so we're getting some big moments in Houston, and then we're airing them on TV, which, hey, is going to get Houston over, because as much as I despise Paul Bosch's commentary, if you put a city over and you put it over as a big deal, that, hey, big things happen in this town. It's not just another bullshit stop along the way, where you never see anything happen. Shit actually happens here. And, it'll inspire fans to go, hey, I missed history happen when I didn't go to that show last month. They have another show coming up. And hey, the tag title changed hands last time. Maybe we'll have another new champion this time if I go out. Which, hey, I think that works. So, 2 says that it was a case of the Rat Pack underestimating them. Tiger, who said his dad was there, said this was the greatest day of his life and he will never forget this moment. Speaking of things that are forgotten, as we try to bring up anytime I see Mr. Wrestling 2, Mr. Wrestling 2 is the Mississippi State Champion, and that has just long since been forgotten. And what else has been forgotten is not just that he's the Mississippi State Champion, that he defeated Mr. Olympia for that belt. Now you might remember the saga of Olympia's suitcase from last week. They don't mention it at all this week. And I think it's kind of weird, considering it was such a huge angle last week, but it just doesn't get brought up at all this week. But don't worry, it's not being dropped. It's not forgotten. It's just weirdly taking a week off, which is basically the story of this angle ever since it began. It's been taking weeks off here and there. So we go to Houston for the Bourne DiBiase 2 and Tiger Conway Jr. match. 2 hit a knee in the corner, made the hot tag, which led to a 4-way. DiBiase loads up his glove and cracks Tiger. The referee got bumped. Bourne missed a bombs away from the top rope, and Tiger pinned Bourne with a hurricanrana. It looked like a good match. I don't know if I'd want to watch 20 plus minutes of it, if the match even went 20 plus minutes, but still, it looked like a fun match, and the crowd is really into it, and we have new champions. So from there, we go live to the ring with Kamala, with Friday and General Skandor Akbar versus Marty Lundy. And I want to say it was the greatest thing ever, because Reeser is back. Yes. Get rid of Jack Curtis. I know Reeser takes a vacation every year, and we get stuck with Jack Curtis for 2 weeks. But come on, there's got to be better announcers out there than fucking Jack Curtis. So Marty Lundy got in a couple of punches to the stomach, which were pretty much no-sold. Bill predicted Marty would be a future star in wrestling, so hey, we got one right here. But that doesn't mean much tonight, as Kamala pins him with 2 splashes to the back. And this is actually Marty Lundy's last TV match. He does come back a couple times over the next year, but this is it for him as a full-timer. So good luck to Marty Lundy. I predict great things coming for you, Marty. Watts talked about Andre being consumed with anger and pitched it to a replay of the interview with Andre, where he gripped up Bill Watts after Kamala busted him wide open. And then it was time for what is essentially our main event today, Junkyard Dog versus Matt Bourne. But the Black Ninja, Kendo Nagasaki, has something to say before the match begins.
The Black Ninja approaching the ring, Boyd Pierce. Lots of things could be happening. Nobody yet knows who controls the Ninja. He's going into some kind of ceremonial situation. The only thing I ascertained once before, this must be a ceremonial type challenge. And the Ninja definitely is directing that challenge at the Junkyard Dog. Of course, Matt Bourne has stepped out of the ring. He's hoping to see the Ninja and the Dog, and I'll tell you, the Dog's got a little ceremony of its own. It's called a long toe chain, and I promise that Ninja, he'll find something that nobody else has been able to overcome. Is that chain, if it whacks you upside the head, he'll knock that Ninja right back to Tokyo. The Ninja, with his kendo stick out there, he's challenging the Dog. He hasn't backed off. He has not backed off yet. The Dog's firing that chain at him. We could have something, a non-scheduled event right here. And Matt Bourne is loving it. The crowd's starting to chant, JYD, JYD, JYD. Now the Ninja looks like this isn't the time or the place. He's putting a lot of intense pressure on the Dog, Boyd, because the Dog doesn't know when he's going to strike.
There goes Ninja, there goes the chain, and the bout's on.
All right, so I'll be honest, if you didn't see the video, and by the way, go to tinyurl.com/something else YouTube if you want to watch the video of this show afterwards. There really wasn't a whole lot to this. The Black Ninja arrived on the scene. He twirled around his kendo stick to, essentially challenge or threaten Junkyard Dog. However, Dog had his chain and he did not back down. They circled each other, and finally Ninja left and the match was on. So as the match begins, they note that the next Superdome show is going to be on April 16th. The last one was on Thanksgiving, and I remember noting at the time that just how different Mid-South Wrestling was going to be by the time we get to this next Superdome show. And oh boy, we still have a lot of twists and turns and swerves to go before we get to April 16th, I must tell you that. Bourne slammed Dog's head into the turnbuckles, and shockingly, that did not work out for him, and Dog dropped him with a headbutt. We find out that Ted DiBiase has taken a short vacation due to the Junkyard Dog for reasons unknown, ? Watts mentions in 2 weeks we'll finally have Hacksaw Bruce Reed. That's Hacksaw Bruce Reed, which pisses off Jim Duggan because, of course, there can only be one person named Hacksaw, and that's Jim Duggan, damn it. Dog drops his hands during a clean break, and Bourne knocks him down with a straight left hand, as opposed to a gay left hand, of course. That's what would happen if I did it. Dog went out of nowhere with a side Russian leg sweep of all things. What the fuck? Okay, sorry about that. Not sure what the fuck happened, but suddenly, everything of mine decided to stop working there for a minute. But to sum it up, Dog beat Matt Bourne with a side Russian leg sweep of all things, because you can't win every match with a thump, I guess. So up next, it was the Black Ninja Kendo Nagasaki teaming with the Golden Dragon versus Tim Horner. And yes, this is the same Golden Dragon that we talked about on World Class a few weeks back. As we always mention, Horner is a very good wrestler, and if we don't let a microphone anywhere near him, he's great. And he sold Dragon's moves well, making Dragon look like a serious threat here. They announced that next week Dragon is wrestling Junkyard Dog, so hey, it's important to make him look good. And Horner, like I said, Horner's doing a good job of that here. His best offense was a good defense as he moved out of the way from Dragon and tagged out to Cruz. Cruz didn't do much better, so Horner tagged back in, took a pair of super kicks from Nagasaki. And I guess this was the match where everyone needed ring time because it went far longer than you'd expect with the two of them involved. And eventually Nagasaki pins Cruz after a super kick and then celebrate it by turning in a circle. Again, this man is one of your top heels. And again, it would have been so much better if we never saw him on TV. And it was just this mysterious black ninja. Because you put him on TV, like it is way too cartoony. Like this is a. I'm sorry. This like this is a gimmick that would work with Vince in the WWF, but when you're trying to present serious wrestling, having this cartoon, having this buffoon out there, I can't take him serious. He's not a top heel, and it brings down the show to see him involved. Like literally everything he was doing that had nothing to do with actual wrestling, it's like, okay, that's fine. Like when him and Dog are squaring off and they don't do anything, it's like, okay, great. When JJ Dillon is doing a year-old video promo from Florida, great. It's building up Black Ninja, it's building up Kendo Nagasaki. Then you see him on TV, and in my opinion, you lose all the mystique the second he takes his mask off, and the second he starts doing his weird turning in the middle of the ring, which I get it's supposed to, be a Oriental ceremony, but I've watched a lot of Japanese wrestling in my life. I don't remember anyone twirling around in a circle like a jackass. Wild Bill Irwin versus Joe Stark. Yes, the same Bill Irwin who last week couldn't beat Johnny Mantell in 10 minutes in Dallas is now here and has about 12 minutes left in the show to beat Joe Stark. Irwin had his bullwhip, which made a tremendous noise when he whipped the mat before the match. And I should point out that no one called Irwin Chauncey here, while Bill Watts encouraged us to tell all the kids to watch next week because the midgets will be wrestling. Spoiler alert, no, they won't. That ends up being a bit of a running joke, and we'll get to that. Plus, next week, it's 2 and Conway versus Jim Duggan and Matt Bourne. In 2 weeks, both Hacksaw Reed and King Kong Bundy will be here. And during this match, and, this is one of those things that watching old wrestling, especially if, your introduction to wrestling was watching WWE where, a rest hold is just a rest hold. Nobody ever wins with a rest hold. Nobody ever, explains why a rest hold is important. It's just, okay, now everyone knows they're taking a breather and doing a headlock. Well, Watts explains the technical preciseness of a side headlock and explain why a side headlock is important to watch and isn't just something to yawn and turn your back to the TV while it happens. It's a serious, legitimate move. At this point, Watts finally remembers that the North American title tournament is March 21st, and that we'll have the winner here in 2 weeks. And in fact, in 2 weeks, it's not just the winner. We're going to be talking about the entire tournament in 2 weeks. By the way, Wild Bill won with a backbreaker. So, he went to a time limit draw last week in Dallas, and this week he picks up the win in Shreveport. We'll see if he does anything in Dallas as well. It's then time for our final match of the day. I'd say our main event, but it really isn't our main event. But it's Louisiana champion Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Super Destroyer versus Mike Jackson and Randy Barber. I should point out that they're obviously getting rid of the state titles. Mr. Wrestling 2's been Mississippi champion since November, and I don't think he's ever appeared on TV with the belt. I don't think, outside of saying he won the belt, I don't think they ever mentioned it ever again. And that was after Olympia. Olympia was champion for a month or two, and they stopped mentioning it for the last month or so of his title reign. So it's obviously the Mississippi State title is being done away with, and the Louisiana title really is as well. But Duggan is actually making a big deal about the Louisiana title. He always brings it out with him. He wears it like a scarf, honestly, but still he has it. He's proud of being the Louisiana champion. The one thing they have dropped, when we'll see if it comes back up, is they don't talk about the brass knuckles title anymore. And so I guess if they have dropped it, it basically, they came to the conclusion that I did, that if you're going to say the brass knuckles champion is the toughest man in wrestling, then why isn't the brass knuckles champion the world heavyweight champion? Because the world heavyweight champion should automatically be the toughest guy in wrestling. Like I said, it's basically like saying if wrestling was real, this guy would be the champion, without actually saying that, because they're not stupid. It's not, when Matt Stryker did a New Japan show that time, and he said that the never openweight title was, if wrestling was real, this is what, this is who would be the champion. And it's like, motherfucker, people don't want to hear that on TV. But anyway, as I mentioned, the match was Jim Duggan and Super Destroyer versus Mike Jackson and Randy Barber. Yes, the perpetual Alabama Junior Heavyweight Champion is here to do a job in an expiration of time match. Super Destroyer, as we've mentioned, a few times, is Scott Irwin and not Bill Eadie, which I once accidentally called him. And he's also, in addition to not being Bill Eadie, he's definitely not Greg Valentine, despite Watts saying he doesn't warm up until 14 or 15 minutes into the match. Mike Jackson used a head scissors takeover, which pissed off Destroyer. Since Mike then tagged out, Destroyer and Duggan took their aggressions out on Randy Barber for 3 minutes. Wait, did I just say 3 minutes? Anyway, Destroyer pinned Barber with a superplex as the show came to its conclusion. And then, actually, before we finished, Boyd thanked Bill for, and I quote, his knowledgeability. His knowledgeability. I got to tell you, Boyd, I love you making up words here, my friend. Just love it. So that's going to do it for Mid-South, where, like I said, they never mentioned anything about the Mr. Olympia, Mr. Wrestling 2 thing. Other than that, it was a fine show. They're doing an all right job building up Kendo Nagasaki and Junkyard Dog as something special, but again, and maybe people felt differently in 1983. But I don't know. I just can't watch this and not think that it's just a total joke. That it brings it down to see him versus Dog. And it's not even just, it's a cartoon, because Kamala is a cartoony wrestler. And, but there's still something about him that, you feel it's serious. You feel that, this man really is a savage. This man really could, injure people. We saw him really injure Andre the Giant. We saw him injure Mr. Wrestling 2. It's taken seriously. Nagasaki, I'm sorry, he's a fucking joke. And the quicker he's out of Mid-South, the better. And I know he's not here very long, but hopefully his next stop is not Dallas. I'll just say that. Moving on to World Class Championship Wrestling. Also, March 19th, 1983, from the Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas. Let's go to the intro of the show with Bill Mercer. And again, just keep in mind, I'm doing these things off Peacock, and for whatever reason, Peacock doesn't always love me when I try doing it here. So fingers crossed we get through our audio on the show this week.
Welcome to World Class Championship Wrestling here at the Sportatorium in downtown Dallas, Texas. Tonight, a great treat, the Texas Heavyweight Championship, with a challenger who has refused to be on World Class Championship Wrestling, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. But now that he has been given his challenge to go after that championship of David Von Erich, he says he will be on television. So Garvin is on tonight, challenging for the championship that David Von Erich has held. David Von Erich, a native Texan, Texas born, and he reveres this championship. One that he held several years ago, and he wants to hold it for a long time. So that's our main event tonight. David Von Erich, the champion, Garvin, the challenger.
Oh, gotta love
And the Iceman King Parsons with Buddy Roberts. That's going to be coming up tonight. Right now, our first bout is Wild Bill Irwin and the newcomer, the Texans, right after this.
Okay. Hopefully, this is not a sign of what's to come here with, this constant buffering here. But I guess we're going to see here because we're going to have a few more pieces of audio to play later on here in the show. But so the big thing is here this week, Texas Championship on the line. David Von Erich versus gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, plus Iceman King Parsons versus Buddy Roberts. We go to our opener. It is Wild Bill Irwin, because, Wild Bill Irwin has to be on, both shows, versus the Texan. The Texan is a tall, lanky man in a black mask. And before the match got started, I did some digging, and it's Jake the Snake Roberts, of all people. And the funny thing is, if I hadn't looked it up, it became pretty obvious that it was Jake the Snake Roberts pretty quickly. It's like he's just got it's the Jake Roberts mannerisms, the Jake Roberts punches, the Jake Roberts everything, It is what it is here. Bill Mercer, not the best announcer ever. And it's funny that World Class is so great when you have Bill Mercer, who's, he's not that great. You have Mark Lawrence, who is not that great. And you have referees like Bronco Lubitsch, who suck a major dick. And yet, this show is just still fantastic, making you realize that sometimes you really don't need the greatest, broadcaster, the greatest non-wrestling talent to make a show great, but, believe what you want to believe, enjoy what you want to enjoy, people. So Texan gets in quite a bit of offense on Irwin before being cut off. He comes back and got a near fall off a punch to the face, but Irwin got his foot on the ropes. Turns out, by the way, we mentioned this, earlier. The fans chant Chauncey at Bill Irwin, and I could not figure out why the fuck they call him Chauncey. And apparently the gimmick is that is Bill Irwin's real first name is Chauncey. And the weird thing is, his real first name is Barney. I don't know. I think like it'd be more fun to mock someone about being called Barney than Chauncey. But oh well. Texan worked the hammerlock and almost got a pin off of it. So just to point out, he got a near fall off a punch to the face and a hammerlock. Hey, whatever works for you, right? Irwin hit a pump kick and dropped his head for a backdrop, but Texan hit a knee lift that sent Irwin out of the ring. With seconds left in the time limit, Texan wins with a schoolboy out of nowhere. Man, oh man, wrestling in the opener is not good for Bill Irwin, but it was a solid match, I'll give you that. Iceman King Parsons versus Buddy Roberts with Michael Hayes in his corner. Dozens of fans around the ring trying to get autographs from Parsons. Before the match started, Hayes cut a promo, which wasn't picked up well at first. So between that and the fact that, some of these audio clips are iffy about the buffering issues, we're not even going to try to play the pre-match promo. The gist of it is he's going to stay at ringside for this match, and while Parsons may be on a roll, he's never wrestled a Freebird. And despite saying that he's going to stay at ringside for the match, he then said he's going to the back. Iceman thanked Hayes for his concern and then bitch slapped Hayes to the approval of the audience. The bell rang and Iceman won immediately with she calls that the rear view. Roberts didn't even have the chance to remove his jacket. Gordy came down and the three of them yelled at the referee. The fans chanted, "Go home, Freebirds." And the good news is, after that, Buddy finally got to take off his jacket. Now the Freebirds are furious and Bill Mercer has a microphone, so let's go to Bill Mercer and hopefully this all works.
You really asked for the honest, Michael. You insulted a man.
You shut up.
You insulted
No, I've had it. Look. Nobody does that to a Freebird and gets away with it. Now you mark my words. You get that punk back out here, because we ain't leaving this ring until you do.
You mean that guy going to leave the arena?
No, I'm not going to leave.
What do you want to do with him?
I don't care if it takes everybody in here to try to get us out. You get him back here, or we're not leaving this ring.
You think he's going to wrestle all three of you?
I don't care. I don't even think he can think. But nobody does that. Terry, let me tell you something, Mercer. Baby, nobody, but nobody, I don't care who it is going to do that to the Freebirds and get by with it. And boy, I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to anybody else that thinks that they can do that to the Freebirds and get by with it.
Buddy, did
Hey.
you underestimate this man?
Hey, fat face, ain't nobody's ever done that to Buddy Roberts in my whole life.
Here he comes. Here comes.
All right. So they're pissed off. They are really pissed off here. And they want Parsons back in the ring. They want Parsons to come out and wrestle all three of them. And, obviously it's a suicide mission. And we're going to see how stupid Iceman Parsons is in a second, or whether or not he's stupid. And they said they will not leave the arena until Parsons comes back out. Gordy screams that nobody does that to the Freebirds and gets away with it. And Buddy calls Mercer fat face, which is a tremendous insult. So after saying that they would not leave until they get the chance to wrestle Iceman Parsons again, out comes Iceman Parsons with all three Von Erichs, which does the trick. And the Freebirds bail, screaming that it's now 4-on-3. And obviously, you don't want an unfair advantage. You would never want that. And of course, heels being heels, it's good shit. So we are now going to go to a promo in David Von Erich's barn. Yes, you heard me right. A promo in David Von Erich's barn.
It is appropriate that a Texas heavyweight champion be a Texan, live in Texas, and have a Texas ranch with Texas horses, like the lady behind us, Sissy, and her newborn, Norma Jean. Beautiful lady and her daughter.
Oh, yeah, Bill, that's my special love in life, I guess. Little Norma Jean's out of Baron Jack, and she's just a little bit over 12 hours old right now. And I just want to thank Continental Productions for coming out and filming. They had great timing. If they'd been there 12 hours earlier, they could have got the whole thing. So I think they did a real good job there, and I'm just a very proud papa.
All right, let's go back to the Texas Heavyweight Championship. The challenge by gorgeous Jim Garvin is here. Garvin, who comes in with a boast and then stands up with that boast because he has an outstanding one-loss record. Will not be seen on television, but will be seen battling you, challenging you for the championship.
Well, that's right. He does have a fantastic win-loss record. He's a fantastic athlete. He is very boisterous, like you said, and he's very proud of everything he does. That doesn't make him a champion. Being a loudmouth and being very cocky and very sure of yourself doesn't make a man a champion necessarily. So Jimmy Garvin is most graciously, finally, after all these weeks of being here, has finally decided that he will wrestle on TV. But the only way he's going to do it is if I put up my Texas title. Now, Bill, going back over a few years, we look at that Texas title, and I've been wrestling for 6 years. And before I left 3 years ago for my world tours, I held the belt for 3 whole years. And since I came back, I had to take it away from Bill Irwin, who is a very, very tough individual. I mean, not only does he have very good wrestling knowledge, but he's a tough individual as well. So now I look at a man like Jimmy Garvin. Now, Jimmy might go out there and say, I'm gorgeous this, look at my valet, look at this, look at that. But that doesn't make him a bad wrestler. That makes him very proud of what he does. So, well, I know when I step in the ring with him, not only am I going to be going against Jimmy Garvin and his ego, but I'm going to be going against Jimmy Garvin, the professional wrestler, and I'll have my hands full. I'm looking forward to the match.
I know the Texas Championship means a great deal to you. It means everything to you. But there are other champions that you've held around the country and your tours and your world tours. And, of course, there's always that World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, God, you know, I've been all the way around the world trying to get that World Heavyweight title. And, you know, for a kid that's 23 years old and getting a chance to go around the world 4 times, there's no better business and profession in the world, I don't think, especially for a young kid like me and my brothers. But like you said, the Texas title is the most dearest to my heart. But Ric Flair, one day he knows that he's going to have to step inside the ring with me and all the Texas pride I can muster and all the Texas people behind me. And I'm going to come away with that belt. And he knows it, and that's why he hadn't stepped inside the ring with me. And enough about Ric Flair, because I don't like the man.
Well, enough, too, that we have to look forward now to that championship with you defending against the challenger, gorgeous Jim Garvin.
Well, like you said, you're looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be one fantastic match, and I think it's going to be one that the people will really be interested in. It's going to be a fantastic night, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you for inviting us out to meet the new mother and the daughter, and we wish them both well. Daughter's resting right now.
She's all crashed out. It's nap time.
So David Von Erich, the Texas Heavyweight Champion, and we'll be looking at that great match. You look at this now after World Class Championship Wrestling returns.
Okay, so this is one thing I'm really liking about World Class is, like, not only do you get, you know, a lot of promos and a lot of, you know, different angles and whatnot, you know, they go on location a lot. They do a lot of, you know, like this, like with last week or a week before, we saw Jimmy Garvin in his hot tub, and, you know, we're going to see similar things coming up. And, like, they're not just constricted to, you know, the studio. And I like that it makes it different, and it's not corny. Like this is, like, I mean, it's corny to an extent, but it's not corny where it's breaking your character. Like when WWE did Tuesday Night Titans, it's like, why would half these wrestlers ever do these things that they're doing here on Tuesday Night Titans, these stupid skits and whatnot? It's like, these are quote unquote stupid skits, but they, you know, they make sense. David Von Erich is a ranch hand. He lives on a ranch. He lives on a farm. And so now we're going to the farm where his horse just gave birth to a foal. And, you know, it made total sense. And they play it into everything going on. You know, he talks about wrestling Jimmy Garvin, who's finally going to wrestle on TV this week. You know, David talks about he was Texas champion for 3 years, and then he lost it. Then he had to, you know, come back and take it from Bill Irwin, who's a great wrestler. And he talks about, you know, he's putting Garvin over. Like, yeah, they're 2 very different people. Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin and David Von Erich, different types of people, different goals, different mindsets. But that doesn't mean Garvin isn't a great wrestler. That just means he cares a lot more about his looks than, you know, David might. And, you know, he looks forward to the match. And Mercer then asks him about the world title. David said he's 23 years old. He's had the chance to go all over the world, and that Ric Flair knows that one day he's going to have to step into the ring with David, and we'll see what happens. I guess we will. King Kong Bundy versus Mike Bond. And in a perfect world, I'd be able to play this little 5-second clip. But Mark Lawrence, he introduces the match. He's introducing Bundy, and he just says King Kong Bundy, and Bundy yells at Mark Lawrence during his intro, "Devastation Incorporated, you say that." And Mark Lawrence said, and I swear to you, Mark Lawrence said, "Devastation Incorporated, you say that." I don't know sometimes. But Bill Mercer points out, by the way, that Mike Bond is a big man, and he is. He is a very large man. He's just dwarfed by Bundy, and it's a good point. And I gotta say, the one thing about World Class is, so far that we've seen, we've mentioned, a few things they do well. They don't do your standard enhancement matches. This is not just a 3-minute exhibition of the big splash, but either way, Bundy does win. He goes for the big splash, but it ends up as more of a knee drop than a splash, and Bundy picks up the win. He then cuts a promo. Armand Hussein has accepted the challenge. The boss has gone to the Orient to get Kabuki, and Bundy is wrestling Tola Yatsu next week. And he says that this will be the end of Yatsu. So this weird, wacky feud between Devastation Incorporated and Armand Hussein's group, this battle of heels, it's continuing. Main event time. Texas champion David Von Erich versus gorgeous Jimmy Garvin with Sunshine. Jimmy has Sunshine spray her spritzer on the hands of both the referee and David. The bell rang, David charged, but Sunshine was still in the ring, so David was held back. One of those things, and, I mentioned this with, Tola Yatsu. It's like, the bell rings, but it doesn't necessarily mean the match is going to start just because the damn bell rang. David, once they finally did get started, David threw 3 hip tosses right away, causing Garvin to roll out of the ring and get dusted off before continuing. The other thing I do like Mercer doing is he gives their athletic credentials, showcasing their skills in other sports and not just wrestling, showing that these men are multi-talented. Even Garvin, who is, effeminate, he's metrosexual, we would call him in, 2000 terms. He's not just, this guy who cares about his looks. He's a great athlete. He's a great wrestler. And Garvin takes over to the delight of Sunshine and nobody else. Garvin calls David a piece of beef jerky, which offends David, obviously. No one wants to be compared to beef jerky. Garvin then asked David where his daddy was, which inspired David to break the sleeper hold and make his comeback. David got the iron claw on, but Garvin raked the eyes. Garvin was begging off, but David was having none of that. David goes for a running knee, but Garvin ducked, and David goes flying out of the ring onto the floor. Garvin breaks the count out at the count of 16, because in World Class they do a 20 count as opposed to a 10 count. David gets back in and gets hit with a brain buster, and Jimmy Garvin makes the cover and gets the win. We have a new champion. Jimmy Garvin is your new Texas heavyweight champion. And this is where it gets interesting, because Mercer screams that the brain buster is illegal, and apparently either the referee didn't think so or the referee didn't think it was a brain buster. And to be honest, we'll show the replay, and it's honestly, you're better off not showing a replay in this situation because it just looks like a suplex. And they really shouldn't air the replay, but they're going to here in a minute. But either way, I guess that's the controversy. Jimmy Garvin uses a move that is considered illegal, but the debate is whether or not that's what he's actually doing. And speaking of which, let's go to our show closing promo with Jimmy Garvin and Sunshine, the new Texas heavyweight champion.
And now here's the new Texas heavyweight champion, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. Congratulations. I understand this is about your 5th state championship.
Well, that's right, and thank you very much for the congratulations. I think David Von Erich's probably going to be in a lot of trouble when he goes home tonight, but this just goes to show, I said I wanted to study the films, and I studied everybody's films, and young David Von Erich is one less Texas heavyweight champion. Yours truly, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, is the new Texas heavyweight champion.
All right, you have the championship, but I question what you used as a finishing hold. To me, that was a brain buster, and that's been barred. That's illegal in many areas. Instead of a suplex, you come up and over, but you came straight down on the head, and that is illegal.
Well, this is where world travel and experience will benefit you. Like in my case, that wasn't a whatever you called it, Buster. That was gorgeous Jimmy Garvin's Bombs Away.
Bombs Away, all right?
That's right. It's my original move.
All right, let's look. We have it on tape. We have the replay of this. Let's look at it.
I can see this 1,000. I'm good at looking at
Well, I know you are. Let's take a look at it over here to my left, and then we'll see if that is exactly what you're calling it.
Right,
here it is.
Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin's Bombs Away. David Von Erich, that thin rail up in the air, and there I go to put him away. For
all right, but he landed on his head. Now that could be fatal.
Well, hey, this is a man's sport. That's what I've been telling everybody since I've been around here, and I am truly the man. I am the man to beat. I am gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. My eyes are gorgeous, because you ask why gorgeous Jimmy. My teeth are gorgeous. My nose and my face, sunshine takes care of me, and this is my pride and joy. Shine that up, darling. Shine that up right there. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be your pleasure if you ever get a chance to see gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. I suggest that you take that opportunity to view one of the finest professional wrestlers in the whole wide world.
Thank you, Jimmy Garvin, Texas State champion, and Sunshine. Thank you very much.
Right. So they mentioned that this is Garvin's 5th state championship, and it gives credibility because you know that he's young, but he's also a veteran. He's been around. He's been successful. And while, he is a bit effeminate, he is a bit, like I said, in 2005 terms, he's metrosexual, although they sure as hell didn't call it that in, 1983. In 1983, it's like, the fact that no one's yet started to chant faggot at him is, shocking to some degree to me. But they discuss, the brain buster. And Garvin says it wasn't a brain buster. It was his original move that he calls Jimmy Garvin's Bombs Away, which, by the way, is not, the Bombs Away that Matt Bourne does over in Mid-South. Matt Bourne, when he does it, it's a sitting splash, while Garvin, it's a brain buster. They watched the replay. Garvin said this is a man's sport and then talks about all the reasons he's gorgeous, and that's it. And then they mentioned that next week, it's King Kong Bundy versus Tolyatsu. And that does it for World Class. It's another great episode. And this feud with David Von Erich and Jimmy Garvin, it's not over. It's not over by a long shot. And I think this was great here. Put over Garvin strong. Arguing whether or not it's a legal move, he won clean. He won clean. He didn't cheat behind the referee's back. If he did cheat, it was right to the referee's face, and the referee didn't even realize he was cheating. But he won clean. He was put over strong, and there's no easier way to be put over strong. There's a way to be put over stronger in World Class than to beat a Von Erich, and that's what happened here. So that's going to do it this week for something else. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you all listen, and we'll talk again. 7 days.
Wrestling fans, and welcome to this week's edition of Mid-South Wrestling Television Network. I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, and we look forward to asking you to join us for 60 minutes of excitement. You'll see a great card headlined by a wild battle between rugged Matt Bourne and the Junkyard Dog. Also, the Black Ninja, Kendo Nagasaki, is here. It'll be Kamala, the Ugandan warrior, in action. A tag team match that really promises to be a wild battle as Hacksaw Jim Dugan, the Louisiana heavyweight champion, takes on as his partner, the Super Destroyer. To tell us about it, one of the most knowledgeable men in wrestling, the popular Cowboy Bill Watts.
Well, thank you, Boyd. It's great to be here again, and I think we got some great matches on this card. But first, reflecting back to February 9th, when a collision between two awesome tag teams, DiBiase and Bourne, the Mid-South Tag Champions, seemingly unbeatable, against 7'4", 485-pound Andre the Giant and Mr. USA Tony Atlas. It looked like DiBiase and Bourne, their backs were to the wall. However, in that match, Hacksaw Dugan, the Rat Packer, the man who was also in the gorilla suit that originated the titles to DiBiase and Bourne and the leaving for the 90-day vacation of the Junkyard Dog, that man also came into the action. But then the surprise, the real joker in the deck, Kamala with Akbar, and Kamala attacked Andre the Giant viciously from behind, and Andre the Giant has sent word that he is going to meet that man. He wants Grizzly Smith to get that match anytime, any place, anywhere. Let's look at the closing moments of that match. Tony Atlas just showing that that's a wrong way to attack him, but he let Ted DiBiase feel the pain. Andre the Giant, and he can club you. When you shake hands with him, your hand disappears. When he drinks a can of beer, you can't even see the can. A huge man from Grenoble, France, an agile man, a man who played rugby. His father was almost 8 feet tall, his grandfather, excuse me. Andre the Giant, he's just introduced DiBiase to Matt Bourne up close. And look at Andre, it's just decimating. Still, the titles are at stake. They have to defeat the champions. The champions cannot lose the title by disqualification or by countout. They have to either be made to pin or made to submit. Oh! Suplex. Belly to back, off to the side. Matt Bourne trying to go for Tony Atlas' eyes. Bourne throws a wild left haymaker. Tony Atlas ducked, and Matt Bourne, DiBiase's coming, but the Giant's going after DiBiase. DiBiase's out on the floor. Tony Atlas press and slam. Matt Bourne, Hacksaw Dugan just speared Tony Atlas, who tripped backwards. Now Hacksaw's in there against Andre. Andre's against all three men. DiBiase going to his tights, loading up that glove. DiBiase just teed off right on the jaw of Andre the Giant, but he couldn't even knock him down. They're going for a double slam. They can't get him up. Andre has just run their heads together. He's got both men in a bear hug. Skandar Akbar's on the scene. He's waving. Here comes Kamala. Here comes Kamala. He's got a 2x4. Kamala whacked Andre the Giant with that 2x4. He hit Andre right in the head with a 2x4. Ladies and gentlemen, that's broken down out here. Kamala. Tony Atlas has drop kicked Kamala right on the chin. The 2x4 went flying. Hacksaw Dugan back in there. Andre the Giant, his head split. The referee calling for the disqualification. Kamala circling Andre, circling him like he's a wounded animal back in Uganda. Those are jumps. Kamala just slammed Andre the Giant. I've never seen anyone human slam Andre the Giant. Now Kamala doing his cannibalistic dance. Crowd is cheering. Kamala going for the splash on Andre. The Junkyard Dog coming with a chain. Wrestler 2 in the ring. Kamala, Andre's head is badly lacerated. The Junkyard Dog, disqualification. But you know DiBiase and Bourne had Hacksaw Dugan planted. What we didn't dare dream is that Andre and Kamala in their battles, that Kamala and Akbar, Andre's mad like a wounded buffalo. I don't know if Kamala injured Andre as much as he made him mad. And when I mean mad, that's a 7'4", 485-pound giant that's mad. It's an awesome anger. It's an anger that engulfs you. We'll hear more about that later. Also, Skandar Akbar received a heavy fine from Charlie Lay, the head of the board of directors of Mid-South Wrestling. But Akbar's attorneys forced a gag rule on Mid-South where they could not reveal the amount of that fine. Now, how he did that, I don't know. Again, it seemed like DiBiase and Bourne were unbeatable. But there are new Mid-South Tag Team Champions, Mr. Wrestling 2 and Tiger Conway Jr., and we'll meet them right after these words from the Mid-South Television Network. Well, after February the 9th, when DiBiase and Bourne, with the help of Hacksaw Dugan, the Rat Packer, and Kamala and Akbar, held on to the Mid-South tag titles against Andre the Giant and Mr. USA Tony Atlas, they probably thought they were unbeatable, a very formidable team. But on March the 11th in Houston, Texas, at the Sam Houston Coliseum, a new team, a dynamic duo, Mr. Wrestling 2 and Tiger Conway Jr. had something to say about that. As you see, they're holding the Mid-South Tag Team titles. They are the new Mid-South Tag Team champions. I want to offer my congratulations to both of you.
Thank you very much, Bill. You know, it's a simple combination of perhaps a couple of things. First of all, they underestimated us. That they shouldn't have done. We proved a point to them, another way, that they can be beat. I have yet to meet anyone that can't be beat, one way or the other. And this is the proof of the pudding. Here's the belts, and here are the new champions.
Well, Tiger, I know it had to thrill you, being that's your hometown. Your father was there, and of course, you've had some rough luck in Houston, and all of a sudden the chemistry's right. You're with a tremendous partner, and you guys pulled it out.
That's right. You know, I'd say it's the greatest day of my life, and also to be with Wrestling 2 as a partner, a legend, and to pull something out over the Rat Pack, that was something I will never forget, and I guarantee you, Wrestling 2 will stay champions a long time. Long as I have you behind me, I'll stick with you all the way.
Well, that fall was a grinding, grueling match, some 20 minutes in length. We're going to join the last closing moments, and you all will see and relive once again this tremendous team and their victory to win the Mid-South Tag titles. And Mr. Wrestling 2, would you narrate as we follow along, because you're the one in the ring at this time.
I'd be more than happy to. Well, at this particular point here, I was pretty well exhausted from trying to handle two men at different times where they both try to double up on me. He tried to ram me in there, but I reversed it. Coming off that one knee.
There's your knee lift. You got you out of the hole right there.
Sure, it certainly does. It always comes in handy right at the right moment.
Here you tag in, Tiger.
Tiger Conway.
That's right. As I came in, you know, I knew only one thing I had to do was get the job done. And I was ready. And I'll tell you, I never felt as good as I felt then. And I'll tell you, I brought it to
Here's DiBiase. He drew the referee more or less because he knew two would come and the referee would intercept him, but two came on anyway because you guys are fighting for your life right here.
That's right. You know, I headbutted him, and I didn't know what had happened. All I knew, I just got hit from the back.
Well, he connected on you pretty good.
And I'll tell you, you know, it was a feeling when I hit that turnbuckle. That took some of it out of me, too. The breath was out of me. And by the time I tell you I got it together, I looked up, and there he was.
Matt Bourne trying to put you away with his bombs away, but fortunately you got out of the way, and then the man, the living legend, Wrestling 2, you're coming right in doing what you know best, fighting that type of fight.
Well, that's exactly right. You know, when I saw the men coming, all I could think about was smash, bam, keep it going, and just...
Look at that. There he is.
That's that victory
roll. You're pulling it out with that victory roll.
Pulled it right out right there.
What a time. Wrestling 2's got the way cleared, and you've got the man pin.
That's right. All I was waiting for. I knew I had him 1, 2, 3, and, man, I tell you, that was it.
When I heard those people explode, that popped the goose pimples all over my body because I knew we were
they're going 2, 2, 2, and of course you were like a sergeant at arms there. You cleared Ted DiBiase out and you were looking for Dugan or anybody else that may be coming. You are the champions. They may think they have underestimated you. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think. I think this is the team to beat right here because they definitely are the champions. They hold the medal and they got to come to you.
How sweet it is. Let me tell you, Bill, I'm looking forward to to meeting anyone at any given time, any kind of tag team combination. I don't care who it may be. You line them up, and Conway and I will strike them out.
Well, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of action like bees to a hive of honey. There's some new champions, and everybody's going to want to try you on for size, and I'm sure matchmaker Grizzly Smith and the promoters in the Mid-South area will be having a busy time, and you're going to have some very formidable opponents.
The Rat Pack is grumbling, boss.
The Rat Pack is hurting. We'll be back after these moments and these messages from Mid-South.
This event is for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the blue corner at 250 pounds from Rome, Georgia, Marty Lundy. And entering the ring now at 385 pounds, managed by General Skandor Akbar, Kamala, the Ugandan warrior.
This event, one fall, 10-minute time limit from Rome, Georgia, Marty Lundy. And there you see his partner across the ring, his opponent, Kamala, the Ugandan warrior, assisted by his handler, his man Friday, and the advisor, General Skandor Akbar. Bill?
Well, I'll tell you, Marty Lundy, for the first time in his life, had some mixed reactions because he's generally on the side where they're booing all the time, and a lot of people started applauding him when they saw his opponent was. Grizzly Smith has put a bigger, tougher guy, a guy that certainly has no compulsion against breaking the rules to try to slow down this Kamala. But Kamala has been awesome, and he's got the biggest man in wrestling, the biggest man I know of in the world that's an athlete that can move, Andre the Giant, and he's got him steaming and wanting him. But he's got two men right here in Mid-South, the Junkyard Dog, and he's got Mr. Wrestling too. There's a couple of more that want to find the way of measuring this man, and so far, no single man has ever put his shoulders to the mat. It'll be interesting to see if Andre the Giant is the man that can do that, or if the Junkyard Dog will figure out a way to get him up into that big thump and to keep him down, because the guy is a fighter. There's no doubt about it. We've seen some awesome people. Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, met his major against him, and Tony Atlas is a powerful man. He can bench press 550 pounds, and he's hit Kamala before with everything but the kitchen sink, and yet he's just never been able to put him down to stay. I think the only problem that Akbar's had is a control problem with this man, because he seems to be small things trigger him to do rather unusual things, and oftentimes he's more concerned about his man Friday getting hurt than the man in the ring, and he gets confused fairly easy, and you can't ever tell which direction he'll go or what he'll attack or what he'll do. It's just, I suppose, his heritage, and coming into this sophisticated world, he still throws back to the basic instincts. But you can't fault him for the way his onslaught is just awesome. He just keeps coming on and on and on, and he's powerful, he's huge, he's agile. See, Marty Lundy, he throws him around like he's not even there, and Marty Lundy weighs 250 or 260. Boy, this Marty Lundy, I really predict, is going to be one of the future stars. He's had a very short time in wrestling, but he spends a lot of time in the gymnasium trying to perfect his skills, and you still see with all that he's done so far, he's just no match for this monster. And that's Kamala right there, just measuring one more opponent right here in the Mid-South ring. Now, Boyd, as I said, Andre the Giant, the largest man in the world, is the man that's upset. He's not only upset, he is just consumed with anger. And he grabbed me right after the match, February the 9th, took me by the lapels of my coat and literally lifted me off my toes, and I weigh 300 pounds. I've just never had a force like that in my life. Let's relive that moment as Andre says what he thinks about Kamala.
Can you tell me one? Tomorrow, promotion, I'll be back here. Nobody did that to me before, Bill Watts. And you know that. You know me, misunderstand wrestling. And tomorrow, I don't know where you come from, and I don't know. Maybe you're a savage. But now I'm going to tell you, you make me a savage too. And you better tell him too. And tell him the right way. I want him back in that ring. Anytime you want, okay? But you don't tell him and sign those contracts. You don't promise me that. Yeah. You better do it. You never see me mad. You never see me mad now.
Nothing I can add to that. I don't blame him for being upset, that's for sure. Well, Boyd, in his heavy French accent, everything he said may not be absolutely clear, but his intent was clear, and I was right there and I was receiving it. And I know Grizzly Smith is trying to arrange the match with Kamala and Andre the Giant, and that should be a battle of giants.
Bill, he's not only mad, but he was enraged, and we'll be back with more action after this word from Mid-South Wrestling Television Network.
This event is for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner at 242 pounds from Atlanta, Georgia, Matt Bourne. Coming into the ring now at 280 pounds from Tennessee, the Junkyard Dog.
Look at Matt Bourne in the black trunk and the black hat against the you-know-who. The fans will tell you as they cheered and hollered loudly because the big thump, the Junkyard Dog, Bill.
Yes, but I see the Black Ninja approaching the ring, Boyd Pierce. Lots of things could be happening. Nobody yet knows who controls the Ninja. He's going into some kind of ceremonial situation. The only thing I ascertained once before, this must be a ceremonial type challenge. And the Ninja definitely is directing that challenge at the Junkyard Dog. Of course, Matt Bourne has stepped out of the ring. He's hoping to see the Ninja and the Dog. And I'll tell you, the Dog's got a little ceremony of its own. It's called a long toe chain. And I promise that Ninja, he'll find something that nobody else has been able to overcome. Is that chain, if it whacks you upside the head, he'll knock that Ninja right back to Tokyo. The Ninja, with his kendo stick out there, he's challenging the Dog. He hasn't backed off. He has not backed off yet. The Dog's firing that chain at him. We could have something, a non-scheduled event right here. And Matt Bourne is loving it. The crowd's starting to chant, JYD, JYD, JYD. Now the Ninja looks like this isn't the time or the place. He's putting a lot of intense pressure on the Dog, Boyd, because the Dog doesn't know when he's going to strike.
There goes Ninja, there goes the chain, and the bout's on.
And Matt Bourne, a member of the Rat Pack, and of course trying to redeem himself as Mr. Wrestling 2 and Tiger Conway Jr. won the Mid-South Tag Team titles on March the 11th in Houston, Texas. A Junkyard Dog 283 pounds of frustration, as he says. Back in the gym, hitting it, bench pressing the heavy iron. Got himself in shape. The Superdome Extravaganza, boy, it'll be coming up Saturday, April the 16th at 7:30. All you in the Mid-South area that love to go to the Crescent City, New Orleans, make plans for that big event. It's an event that people that have been there talk about for years to come. It's a great event. Things are getting hot and heavy leading up to it. It seems like it always causes a rumble. It always causes things to happen. And you can be sure of one thing, there's going to be a lot of focus on that man right there, the Junkyard Dog, because he seems to go right along with the excitement of the Superdome. There's always some tremendous impact that he seems to be the magnet or the focal point of. Matt Bourne. Ted DiBiase not here. I understand he got a short vacation. Thanks to the Junkyard Dog, maybe getting a little even for the vacation the dog received. I know the dog has said he wants a showdown with the Gorilla Man, Hacksaw Dugan. And of course, in 2 weeks, we'll have Hacksaw Bruce Reed here from Atlanta, and Dugan is already upset because the fans have heard about his coming and have been getting on Dugan about it, and Dugan said there's only one Hacksaw in Mid-South, and that's Hacksaw Dugan, the Louisiana champion. Oh, as the referee cleared through there, Matt Bourne with that southpaw left hook really caught the dog. Ralph Neely counting him off. That mare, Matthew Bourne, his father, Tough Tony Bourne, was a great pro. Tradition. And when people tell you that tradition is not important, you check these teams that year after year on top in football, in pro football, in college football, and these wrestling teams. University of Iowa, Oklahoma State University, Oklahoma University, Iowa State. And you'll see what tradition means. Matt Bourne catches the dog. Front face lock. Punishing hold. Runs that forearm along the jawbone, puts the weight on him. Dog broke it, came out. He's doing a little punishing of his own. Oh, Matt Bourne is really pulling out the stops there. Tremendous agility for these big men. Matt Bourne was going to leap him, but dog showed a little ability there of his own. The dog constantly amazes me. 1, 2, 3. He caught him with that side suplex.
Junkyard Dog the victor. We'll return after this word from Mid-South Wrestling Television Network with tag team action.
Tag team action now for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. In the red corner, a very impressive Oriental team from the Far East at 250 pounds, the Black Ninja, Kendo Nagasaki. And his partner at 230 pounds, the Golden Dragon. In the blue corner at 250 pounds from Topeka, Kansas, Art Cruz. And his partner at 222 pounds from Knoxville, Tennessee, Tim Horner.
You heard the introduction of this tag team match. The Black Ninja, Kendo Nagasaki, and his partner, the Golden Dragon, against the popular young duo of Art Cruz and Tim Horner. Rick Ferreira, instruction now for one man from each team.
Well, boy, this could be a very interesting match. Two Orientals. Their styles have to have some similarities, and yet I'm sure they're innovative and individual. as they have had separate martial arts backgrounds. Kendo Nagasaki, the Black Ninja, the man with the ceremonial headgear. Look how quick he is with that thrust kick. I understand that he has really devastated some people with that thrust kick. Some top wrestlers, Jerry Lawler, the king of wrestling in Tennessee. Some really outstanding individuals. He catches you that thrust kick just right into the throat, that it's just devastating. Oh, and he catches him again in the solar plexus. And Tim Horner, we've watched become a tremendous competitor here on Mid-South Wrestling. And Art Cruz tags in the Golden Dragon. Quick with the thrust kick. Not the same snap to it, though, as Kendo Nagasaki. But fast with the hands. Quick hand speed. Tim Horner fighting back with good old American know-how. I'll tell you, and I don't mean to be critical or looking in and being a Monday morning quarterback, but when you've got guys this awesome in martial arts, there's only one thing to do with them. That's to take them down to the mat and tie them up. If you stay on your feet with them, they're going to beat you to death. That's like when a wrestler goes against a boxer. If you stand up against that boxer, he's going to hammer you. The main thing to do is get into those legs and get him down, because he can't do anything from his back. And neither can a martial arts expert. They're very helpless there. Nip up. Thrust kick. This Golden Dragon will be against the Junkyard Dog right here on Mid-South Wrestling next week. That should be a match everyone will want to see. Grizzly Smith continues to bring the top professional wrestling to you at home. And we certainly want to thank you that with the new ratings out at the television stations, that Mid-South Wrestling again was superior in its time segment. In every area that was viewed. That's thanks to you fans at home that invite us in each week. And I think Grizzly Smith is spurred on by that to try to give you the best matches possible. Kendo Nagasaki just hammering away. An awesome new team. Mr. Wrestling 2 and Tiger Conway Jr. could face an unbelievable Oriental team here. Tim Horner, as he tried for the coup de grace, Tim made the tag, and Art Cruz came in, and Art just fighting through and trying to carry the fight to him. You can't let them reset themselves. Inexperience there a little bit. Art Cruz and Tim Horner, they're learning the hard way. This is how you get your experience. You can't get it by reading a book or dreaming. It's hard work, the gymnasium, and matches. Look at this. Did you see that backflip? That even lost our director, Oral Link, and his camera crew there for a minute. That was so quick. Kendo Nagasaki, the man who we've seen him challenge symbolically the Junkyard Dog. Tim Horner made a beautiful move. He thought he had his man on the go, but Nagasaki was up like a cat, and that thrust kick, what a weapon it is. It's transposing your leg up to your arm and making an extension of yourself. You have more power in the leg. You have more reach in the leg. The old art, the French art, savate, the fighting with the feet, the circle kicking, and then in the martial arts they have perfected it. And it just makes sense that the strength in the leg and the power of it and the boot that encases the foot doesn't cause an injury to it. Like, you can break your hand. You can only reach so far. It's a tremendously powerful weapon. And those who are skilled with it can keep you out of range of getting a hold of them. That's why, again, I say the only way to handle them is get them on the mat if it's at all possible and hold them there. The nerve, attacking the nerves. Right behind the trapezes, and behind the collarbone in front of the trapezes is tremendously sensitive nerve centers. If you get those fingers underneath the trapezes a certain way, the nerves are just excruciating and have a paralyzing effect. But Mr. Art Cruz just had a little bit of a paralyzing effect himself on the Golden Dragon. Wow! He really elevated him. But these guys, their conditioning, boy, it is phenomenal, because no matter what's done to them, They seem to have that drive to fight back. Here's Kendo Nagasaki going into that dance. That crutch kick, he wiped Cruz. Cruz didn't see it coming. He caught him. He really laid him out. Cruz is not even moving. He's just laid out there like he's unconscious.
1, 2, 3, and the ability of the Black Ninja and agility added by his partner, the Golden Dragon, results in a victory for the Oriental team. We'll be back when action continues after this word from Mid-South Wrestling.
This event is for one fall with a 10-minute time limit.
Get him on
in the red corner at 256 pounds from Dallas, Texas, Wild Bill Irwin. And in the blue corner at 222 pounds from Jonesboro, Arkansas, Joe Stark.
Action continues now. Joe Stark against Wild Bill Irwin. Bill Watsey came into the ring with that whip, cracking it before the introduction.
That's for sure, and that takes a special skill with that bullwhip. I know one time in Minnesota, about 1969, I had a bullwhip that somebody had given me, and I was out trying to crack it. And it's just not as easy starting off, and I was out there struggling, and I'd done everything. I'd about taken my ear off, and my wife came out of the house and said, "Do you want me to show you how to do that?" And I didn't believe she could, and I kind of laughed, and I handed her the whip. My gosh, she could crack it with either hand, simultaneously switching hands, cracking it. Embarrassed me so bad that I've never tried to crack one since, and I guess to add to that, boy, she's been cracking the whip on me ever since. Wild Bill Irwin. We can remember this young man, formerly on Mid-South Wrestling as a rookie, that he took his lumps, and he's since traveled to Dallas, to Atlanta, to Florida, to the Carolinas, and now Wild Bill Irwin is a tough, up-and-coming young star who has made a niche for himself and is climbing. These are the guys that, like I say, you see the Marty Lundys, the Tim Horners, or you can even remember Ted DiBiase when he was Rookie of the Year here, and then he became the North American champion, then the Mid-South Tag champion. So when you watch these youngsters, these are the guys that are the future of wrestling. And oftentimes the Kelly Kaniskis, people like that, they're in the arenas, and some people, they don't really appreciate how these youngsters are learning and growing and working, and the time they spend in the gym, and the hard knocks and the miles they travel. And I think that's why I love this business so much. You see these guys as they come along, and they want to make that money. They want to be the superstars. And look at the moves, this man. See the confidence of this youngster. And there you have Joe Stark, another youngster, a college man from over in West Memphis. He travels all the way over here to try to get on wrestling, try to make a name for himself here on Mid-South. By the way, talking a little bit about next week, we have a match for children of all ages next week. We've got a midget tag team match that'll be here. You want to be sure to tell all the kids to tune in next week for that bout. And King Kong Bundy will be here in 2 weeks. A huge 420-pound monster. Also, Hacksaw Reed will be here in 2 weeks. And next week, right here on Mid-South Wrestling, the Junkyard Dog against the Golden Dragon. The new Mid-South Tag Champions, Mr. Wrestling 2 and Tiger Conway Jr. will also wrestle Hacksaw Dugan and Matt Bourne. So a action-packed card next week here on Mid-South Wrestling. Joe Stark caught Bill Irwin. Oh, he really elevated him, and he's right in on the advantage. Grabbed a reverse headlock. I think when they're stunned like that, that it may be a little more practical to double cup him, snatch him back, and go ahead and try for the fall, because when the guy is having to get his shoulders off the mat and at the same time he's stunned, he can't think of any offensive moves. But if you just go in there when you've got him on the defensive a little bit and just grab a hold to pressure him or to neutralize him, that allows him to regain his senses. These youngsters will learn, and this is the thing I think you need to watch and appreciate with them. They'll learn pretty soon to go for that, get that killer instinct, so to say, and go ahead and try to finish the man off when they have the opportunity to, and to not ever give him a chance to relax or a chance to take the pressure off of him. But Joe Stark has given a good account of himself, and one thing, he may be short on experience, but he's not short on courage. He's out there doing the best he can. And he's against a man that we saw develop right here, and who's becoming another, like I say, a young star in wrestling, Wild Bill Irwin. Hacksaw Dugan and the masked Super Destroyer from Atlanta up next against Mike Jackson and Randy Barber. This could be the formation of another team that could be awesome for Mr. Wrestling 2 and Tiger Conway Jr. In 2 weeks, we'll have the new North American champion, the winner of the big tournament, the 21st of March in downtown New Orleans, the sudden death elimination tournament. One-night tournament by fall, by disqualification, by count-out, or by decision. The tournament that continued until there was a winner.
Wild Bill Irvin, living up to his name, wearing down his opponent Joe Stark, gained a terrific victory here on Mid-South, and we'll be back when action continues after this message.
It's tag team action now for one fall or remaining television time. In the red corner, the Louisiana heavyweight champion at 270 pounds from New York City, Hacksaw Duggan. And his partner at 275 pounds from Atlanta, Georgia, Super Destroyer. In the blue corner, at 205 pounds from Birmingham, Alabama, Mike Jackson. And his partner at 223 pounds from Arizona, Randy Barber.
Tag team match now is introduction of the Louisiana heavyweight champion, the foot-stomping Hacksaw Jim Dugan from New York State, and his partner, the Super Destroyer, on the outside of the ring against the youngsters Mike Jackson and Randy Barber. For those of you that's seeing them for the first time, you might identify Mike Jackson in the ring now with the red shoes. His partner, Randy Barber, has the white shoes.
You know, Boyd, I'm just reflecting on how upset Hacksaw Dugan has been ever since Grizzly Smith has started having announced in the different arenas the arrival of Hacksaw Bruce Reeder from Atlanta. Dugan has just been incensed. He says, I'm the only Hacksaw, and I'm the champion here. So I'm telling you, Hacksaw Reed is better be ready to fight when he gets here. And Dugan is up and staring. The man has got more explosive energy, and he tags in a monster. This guy is a powerhouse. He's a methodical machine. Super Destroyer. The guy, it seems like he doesn't even really get warmed up till about 14, 15 minutes in a match. He's just awesome. Got tremendous stamina for a big man and power. But Mike Jackson knows. You can tell he knows that the way to combat this man is not head on. He's got to use some quickness and move around. Still, Mike Jackson's a veteran. First time on Mid-South for Mike and Randy Barber, but certainly. Whoa! He caught Super Destroyer. Wherever the head goes, the body has to follow, and they get up and put that pressure on with that scissor, and then just dive off of it. Their whole weight snaps off to one side, moves that center of gravity. 3 minutes left of airtime on this bout. Remember, next week, a tag match for the children of all ages, in the fact that the midgets will be here, the fabulous midgets. Lone Eagle, Cowboy Lang, Little Tokyo, Ivan the Terrible, but also a tag match for wrestling fans of all ages. The new Mid-South Tag Champions, Tiger Conway Jr. and Mr. Wrestling 2 will face Hacksaw Dugan and Matt Bourne of the Rat Pack. The Junkyard Dog will face the Golden Dragon. And Hacksaw is flat out physical Randy Barber. Sometimes it's just not fair to these kids that come in. They got a lot of good skill and ability. But when you take the same skill and ability and put it in a 300-pound, 6'5" frame behind it, it negates a lot of things. 2 minutes of ring time left to go. Dugan going for the count. Front face lock, he's right, it's not a choke as long as it's not locked around the throat. Tag is made. Randy Barber, they're not letting him out of there. This is the savvy and the experience level of guys like this. They know if they get a man injured or a man hurting, not to let him go over there where he can rest and get a fresh man in. Keep him in there, punish him, and switch out. They tag in and out very quick. These two top professionals. There's Dugan, sets. Oh, that vicious, awful spear that he was so notorious for in the National Football League, and he tags in.
Bill, we have 1 minute, 60 seconds, time remaining.
Super Destroyer, look at him. Super Destroyer setting this man on the top turnbuckle. I know what he's going to do. I've seen this monster. Watch this. It's just awesome. There it is. There it is. You could count to 60, I think, instead of to 3.
Super Destroyer and Hacksaw Jim Dugan taking the victory over Mike Jackson and Randy Barber. Bill, our time is just about gone.
Great card. We want to thank you again for inviting us in your home, and thank you for making Mid-South Wrestling what it is. Boyd, I enjoyed being here again.
Bill, we're always glad to have you for your knowledgeability and the way you can tell it just like it is. And don't forget to join us next week. The tremendous, popular little midget stars will be here. Also, the Junkyard Dog versus the Golden Dragon. Till then, for guest commentator Bill Watts, Boyd Pierce saying goodbye, everybody.